This is HaShulchan Yeridea, Siman Yud, Sif Tes Tzir Gimel, day 45 of the Supplemental HaShulchan Yomi cycle. We're going to have a long discussion over here of the tour, which we did last night, about a sakin meluchlach bedam. You had the knife which is dirty with blood, and blood from a kosher shchita and blood from a treif shchita. Okay, so that's biadvar. What it means to say. Even say the base of shchita is a status of being hot. So any knife which used to shecht even once and is sullied, is a good word, with blood. Unless you should forbid shechting another time. They should tivla adam because it's going to absorb the blood of the first shchita. And blood which penetrates from elsewhere. In other words, not the blood organic. It's intrinsic to the animal, but one which is forced into it from elsewhere, and you know, it's that does not come out through salting, which causes him to sound like fast. Come, learn me. Okay, never say don't say this. Learn basic shit el besakin shu mikvar treifa. We only say the basic shit is going to be hot vis-a-vis a knife which is already treifa or polate behabasar, and it exudes its the treif content into the flesh, and the flesh is soft to absorb. But that the opposite, that the knife should absorb from the base of shchita, that we don't say. No, we don't say it. That's the king kosher of law. It's hard for a knife to absorb. And vis-a-vis the knife, the base of shchita is going to be cold. Vis-a-vis the flesh, the base of shchita is warm. Vis-a-vis the knife, it's cold. It's Rashi and Daf Ches on base. And the people times that according to this reasoning, we should require rinsing off of the knife from the blood which is outright on the knife. Shall she to be shredded from the first shchita. But from the two it sounds like you don't need rinsing. But the time she's part and this reason which you explained, those arguments say that the knife does absorb from the heat of the base shchita. It's the Rashba and Torah Sabais. For another reason, I'm not concerned with the blood being absorbed. That's because the trachea and esophagus are themselves preoccupied to emit blood themselves. By the and since they are preoccupied with emitting blood, the body don't absorb blood. This is a great principle. Matters of exuding and absorbing. Something which is exuding, it doesn't absorb when it is exuding. It can't do something and its opposite at the same moment. The reason why you can't use this shchita knife to cut something hot, because the knife will emit that were exuding. I'm using those words interchangeably in case you didn't notice. It will exude the hot substance as a dam the blood which is absorbed from the shchita. It's a sakin also. So that's also even you actually rinse the knife because there's blood presumably absorbed in the knife, according to the opinion that the basic we say vis-a-vis the knife as well. So he says, from that chashash itself, we see that we're concerned with this idea that the knife itself absorbs in the heat of the base shchita. And in bracket says, "Mitam zochek Rashi." So Rashi argues on Rashi. I guess because of this halacha, they now to you cook something hot with it. But Din Zehu Gemara refreshes because this halacha is an explicit Gemara. Daf Kuf Yudav. But the Rambam Zal Kosher, according to the Rambam Tzos Dev, which is really B'sakin, Shal Kutim, holds by a knife of non-Jews. The base of shchita tzoyne, that the base of shchita is called v'dai badach. It's enough to rinse, which is more. If you pasar pervam mechasos, but he paskins that Din said the sakin show about osach doborotech, that a knife with which you cut something hot. A knife with which you shecht, you're not to cut with something hot until you kasher the knife. The brackets he says Rashi also because of Shan the basic shchita was techu boleh sakin. The shita is hot, and the sakin of the knife absorbs. And sham, because the ram sham the Rashi Mari below dacha is a shabir, according to that which he said that's without a dacha. So then that means that's not like the Rambam. That's partial because there's blood bein. The Rambam sounds like even if there's no blood bein, it's not because it says it's not enough. You need hagola that absorbs the blood, that's the only thing of blood which is absorbed. You have Supplemental Sfilu. You have to say they hold the heat and the second below are bein become a shita. Okay, the knife does not absorb a lot because the heat is shita. The Indian share. That it should emit that by the heat of the Beis Shechita. But Chem Mutzah Yishchol Podem and Al Tishech then. Mikom nevertheless Banu Boleh. It absorbs a little bit Mikom Beis Shechita from the heat of the Beis Shechita. But also Taflit Roteach Gomer. That little bit it will emit. It becomes a contact with absolute hot. The heat of the really hot is so strong until it compels is the sakin laflit bar to emit the in that hot substance it's cutting. Hamat dam, the little bit of blood, and evil above michom beis shechita, which is absorbed on account of the heat of the beis shechita. Memes because the Rambam to be eved. If the Rambam writes, in fact, that the eved barotech mutter. The eved, it's if you cut something hot, it's mutter. After the fact, you should plate the color because it's a very light emission. Ve'ein isarak l'chila. Therefore, this is only chatchila. Va'afilo Rashi said the blias the second show blias was the Rashi both said the knife absorbs just like the flesh absorbs by beis hashchitim. Come near the diabetic klipa. Okay, me more adach, but it's enough to peel. When you cut something hot, the kvar beyond the chom beis hashchita kill mechom chen klisheni. Already said that even the most strictest terms, the heat of the beis hashchita is less severe than the heat of klisheni. Therefore, can't absorb more than klipa. It's a shach. In terms of roteach, in terms of heat, even though Ram knife regards hagole, okay, that type of hagola requires is not the standard hagola of dunking in boiling hot water, but even pouring boiling hot water on it. Even though it's not like kashrin a kli rishon, because it's only the irrigation only is maflit k'dei klipa, not something which is deeply absorbed. Because the blua and the shechita knife only is at worst the k'dei klipa. So when some kes he's bardim, so kufay he's bardim elu. These always we clarify later on. You'd base zesh because the mutalach toch botzoin idea adoch she dechen chil. As you said, you're allowed to cut cold by rinsing. Should be rinse the knife first. Plus, the blood adocha ikad dam bein. It's obvious because without rinsing, there's blood outright. Yuvla about tzitzainin, and it's getting absorbed in the cold. I did ducha by the pressure of the knife. By the adocha shari, but by rinsing, it's okay after ikad ducha taskina, even though there is the pressure of the knife. In Africa, the whole sakin shall yisrael so lishtamish apetzoin. Actually, in the end, at senu you'd play makarka, even though any also knife is not allowed to use it even on cold until you stab it 10 times in the ground. Come here, da blia kala, because the blia, the absorption in a shita knife is light. Talking about dacha, rinsing suffices. It's the right. Magan Kamasha says us the dafka hadacha is specifically rinsing. But wiping is insufficient. Unless it's very well wiped. Below kinuach, not a light wipe. Even you shech a lot of times. You can still cut something cold by rinsing the knife. Shach. It's not like when you shech the shreif, she's part of the mani hadocha. Shech arbe that if you shech the several animals, a lot of animals, you can't hadocha doesn't work for treif. The bisham isim nesham numis. So this is a kind of the fatty deposits. Kind of mishum dam here, it's a kind of the blood, but dam mishuk shrak and blood rinses off well. If you shech the treif, you can't shech with this knife until you rinse it or until you wipe something hard. The reason to be treifa shekula iser by treifa the entirety is also not just the blood on the surface of the knife. Also the fatty deposits which are on its surface are treifa. But I did tell them whether we don't say that the treif shamnunis is because the simonim are emitting, they're not going to absorb it. The rakbedam ramina, only by blood we say shekemish dam, since it's emitting blood, lo yivla dam is not going to absorb blood. The lo shleiv hashamunis, not that it's not going to absorb fat. The plitas dam l'chud, the plilia shamunis l'chud. the fact that it's emitting blood does not contradict the absorption of the fat. Both rinsing or wiping with something hard, which is like rinsing, it's enough. We're not concerned that which is absorbed within the knife. Because we said that the knife is not so easy to absorb. Those according to argue, there it's also motivation the balua. Even there is something balua. The small amount which happens to heat of shchita, in itself cannot be caused to be emitted by the heat of the base shchita, but only by something which is absolutely hot. Like we saw a few moments ago in Sif Aleph. That is it for today.